Peter Greenberg's Global Travel Update is presented by New Mexico True.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, August 21st. I know the video says I'm in Bayshore, Long Island. I'm actually about 11 miles away across the Great South Bay in Fire Island today, where I also live. Of course, I'm on duty here as a firefighter. Hopefully the alarm will not go off during our session. Chances are it won't. We'll be okay. And of course, happy to talk to all of you. There's so much stuff to get on today. I hope we get covered on everything, but I'm going to start with something that is just driving me a little nuts. We all know about the betting markets, like Kalshi and Polymarket, all those guys. Well, we also know about delayed flights. We know about canceled flights, closed airports. Most of us know about it. Many of us have experienced it more than once. No news there. But now the question is, can you actually wager? Can you actually bet on whether your flight's going to be on time or not? Or somebody else's flight? Or whether the airport's going to close? Or whether there's going to be weather? The answer is you can. The betting market, Kalshi, has actually put up betting sheets, either on individual airports and their on-time performance, or on individual flights and whether or not they're going to be delayed or canceled. So here's the obvious question. What's to prevent insider trading? How many things can be a part of making a decision to delay or cancel a flight that are not under your control, but can be manipulated? Well, I'll give you an example, and it just recently happened. Somebody in Paris put down a bet of $120 that Charles de Gaulle was going to be delayed for hours the next day. And what did this guy do after he put down the bet? He manipulated the information at a nearby weather station that he knew fed information directly to the airport controllers. And it was such bad information, guess what? Airport shut down flights. He got a $21,000 payoff. But what's to prevent a pilot from declaring a mechanical or an air traffic controller doing a ground stop? The opportunities there for manipulating the system and making lots of money are incredible. And there's no oversight. There are no guardrails. It's a little scary. Also, it's not just limited to airlines. It could be cruise lines. It could be hotels. It could be fire. That's right. The U.S. Forest Service now is protesting the fact that there are some betting sites that are betting on whether or not there'll be wildfires. Wow. Attention, all arsonists want to make some money? This is crazy. I'm sorry, folks, but this bothers me a lot. I hope it bothers you. It's no different than paying some college football player to spike the ball instead of throwing the touchdown, or a basketball player to throw bricks if you're betting the over and the under. But that doesn't deal with your safety. This does. And I hope somebody's listening here who can make a difference in figuring out how to impose those guardrails, because it's getting out of control. Just thought I'd mention it. By the way, in case you are wondering about wagering, guess who had the most number of canceled flights this year? A tie between JetBlue and American. Who had the least number of canceled flights? Allegiant and Southwest. And ironically, who had the latest planes? That would also be Southwest. Their arrival time was dismal, 65% on time. By the way, speaking of delayed and canceled flights, I want to share with you a wonderful video shot by a passenger in Chicago on an American Airlines flight that was delayed because of a mechanical and some maintenance. But what was really interesting about it is the way the pilot handled it. I've been on so many flights where nobody communicates to us from the cockpit. The flight attendants don't know what's going on, and the captains never tell us. We're treated on a need-to-know basis, and if we need to know, they don't tell us. This particular situation was different, and a big shout-out goes to this pilot. Take a look.
The other crew found a couple things that were not working the way they should have. They were minor things, not necessarily that would affect the safety of the flight. However, If you don't fix the little things, they become big things. So maintenance came out, did their inspection. There's another inspection they have to do anyways, just to keep it safe. So that's been done. So I apologize. The reason I'm trying to hold off boarding for a little longer is it is hot on the airplane because we had to turn the air conditioner off. So the air conditioner is coming back on. The ream guy is out. We're cooling it down and probably get you boarding here in hopefully about the next 2 minutes.
Awesome.
Don't clap yet because I got more bad news to give you.
Oh, but wait, there's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. I'm even moving this way closer to the door this time. The crews that have come in, because we kind of talk what the rides are like. I'll use a very technical term. What we're hearing is the rides suck. It's going to be bumpy. How bumpy, I don't know because I'm not up there yet. We're not up there yet. But it is not going to be a beautiful, smooth flight. When asked how bad, they just said it was just constant. The advantages that I foresee, and we'll see if I'm right, and the crew is right, is once we get out of Chicago, we get a few 15 minutes out past, I think we're going to hit smooth air. I think it's going to just kind of minimize itself, and I believe, we'll see what ATC says, but I believe looking at some of the things that have been going on in some of the other aircraft, it will smooth out. But I'd say the first probably 10 or 15 minutes, it's not going to take the enamel off your teeth. It's just going to be like, you know, when you had an ex you couldn't get rid of and it would just aggravated the heck out of you and you just couldn't make it go away. That's what I can attest it to. I'll keep you posted. If you have questions, I ask you to do one thing. Stay off of the iPhone and face chat and chat this and that. Ask one of the flight crew. Ask one of us and we'll give you the answer, all right? I'll come on the PA. I'll give you as many PAs as I can. You'll probably not want to hear from me again, but I like to keep you all informed because I know what it's like to sit in an airplane when it's bumpy or the weather doesn't look good and you're like, is the pilot seeing that? Nobody said anything. But I will keep you posted. All right, fair enough?
Fair enough. Yeah.
Cooling it down. By the time I get down there, I'll probably be able to start boarding. As soon as you guys get on, like a family vacation, get in, sit down. I'll show my age. We have to put seatbelts on now. It didn't used to be seatbelts. And then we're leaving. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's make it happen.
Gotta love it. And they applauded. They applauded. You know why? Because he communicated. And he was upfront about it. You love that pilot. I wish they all did that. Speaking of communication, a little shout out to Lufthansa. You don't hear me shouting out Lufthansa a lot, but in this case, I want to give them a sense of humor award. They just started a social media campaign about proper etiquette on planes with some still photos that say it all. Let's take a look at it. How about this? It's okay not to clap when the plane lands. Speaking of clapping, love that one. I love the next one. Middle seat gets the armrests. Absolutely correct. The next one. Yeah, don't start any fights. Recline responsibly. And then I love this one. Text your mom after landing. So I appreciate their sense of humor and just wanted to share that with you. Okay. Speaking of some new statistics I want to share with you, believe it or not, this just came across my desk. More Americans than ever before in history are not just vacationing overseas, they're permanently moving there. They're relocating, they're replanning themselves, and they're doing it all around the world. In fact, right now, there are more Americans leaving the U.S. to move than foreigners are moving to the U.S. And where are they going? We all know about the hot spots, Portugal, Spain, Italy, and even Ireland. To give you a statistic number here that was kind of staggering, 1 in every 15 people now living in Dublin was born in the United States. That tells you everything you need to know. And some other countries are giving interesting financial incentives for you to move there. In Panama, they're giving people discounts on utility bills, on medical care, and on transportation. So we'll be monitoring that too to see how long that continues. But for the moment, it's an exodus. All right. Now, a couple of other things. I mentioned deals that deal with your safety. We've talked about this on the air before. The real dangers of airline code sharing. right? How one flight can actually be operated by 7 other planes with 7 different seat inventories and price categories. But now it's getting into safety. Believe it or not, there are so many code-sharing flights out there now that airlines are literally running out of flight numbers. Now remember, if your flight has a 1, 2, or 3-digit flight number on it, it's operated by the airline that you think it's operated by. But if it has 4 digits, it can be operated by any airline that's a part of their code-sharing agreement, and you have no idea, right? Well, a big air traffic control problem about a week ago in Phoenix, when 2 American Airlines planes were flying in and they both had the same flight number. They'd run out of numbers. And had not one pilot spoken up and said, this is not us, it's the other guy, but we have the same flight number, there would have been a mid-air collision. They were able to avert that in plenty of time because the controllers saw it as well. But isn't that an interesting development that if you have 4 flight numbers or a 4-digit flight number, that means you have up to 9,999 flights and you're still running out of numbers? That tells you about the dangers of code sharing. Just thought I'd share that. Another danger area here, river levels in Europe, water levels. A lot of you have written into me over the last week or two who are planning river cruises in Europe, and you're concerned, and you should be concerned because the water levels in the Danube and the Rhine, to pick two rivers, are dropping precipitously to the point where those rivers may not be navigable. And in some cases, the river cruise operators can only go so far of the river. They then take the passengers off the boats, bust them about 25 miles to another boat where the river levels are higher, and they continue the cruise, maybe. Now, this gets into an interesting area of the contract of carriage, because every time you want to take a trip, you're given the opportunity of buying what? Trip cancellation and interruption insurance. Now, I would determine that no water level would be interrupting the trip. Certainly wasn't what I planned on. I didn't book a bus trip to Europe. I booked a river trip. So it'll be very interesting to see if those insurance policies kick in if the trip is interrupted by no water. It's in your best interest, if you're booking a river cruise, not to just not to do it online, whatever you do, have a conversation with somebody from the cruise line to get a mutually agreeable definition of terms as to what constitutes an interrupted trip. Because they may also make the claim that if they got you from A to B, even by bicycle, they completed the contract. Please check that out. Now, the good news is, as of yesterday, I heard it was raining back in Europe, and that's a good sign. And hopefully the water levels will rise, certainly in time for you planning those Christmas market trips along the rivers of Europe. So anyway, just wanted to share that with you. And then, anytime you see a story that starts with the words Florida man, you know it's weird. Well, the latest one happened at the Doubletree Hotel in Biscayne Bay, Florida, where a Florida man showed up, wanted to order drinks at the bar. His credit card was fake. He then tried to do it as a room charge, and they asked him what room he was in. He said, room 666, I'm the son of God. Yeah, well, they chased him. He ran away, tried to steal a Rolls Royce, and was arrested, otherwise known as our latest in a series of Florida man stories. Okay, now, moving right along, let's say hi to some folks. Linda's saying hi in Nashville, heading to Kingsport, Tennessee. I love Kingsport. I was there last year to do one of our stories for Travel Detective on PBS, and I had the chance to do what I always love to do when I'm anywhere parts of this country. Went to a Friday night high school football game. Can't beat it in Kingsport. Patrick saying hello from San Francisco. Jim and Harriet on board. They're number 3 today from Richmond, Virginia. And they say, I hope you're doing well with the Volunteer Fire Brigade. I am. The alarm hasn't gone off yet today, but it will. It's Friday. Pauline says, hello from Expedia Cruises, East Brunswick, New Jersey. We love watching you. Well, we love having you watch me. Thank you again, Pauline. Paul is saying greetings from Ashland, Virginia. Sue saying hi, as she always does, from Bellingham, Washington. Lorena, we know where you are, Lansing, Michigan. And guess what? We'll be broadcasting my radio show on October 2nd and 3rd from Madison, Wisconsin, where we're playing the homecoming game against You guessed it, the Spartans. Something tells you you're going to beat us. Anyway, go Badgers anyway. Mark saying hello from Port Hueneme. I used to go there all the time when I covered President Reagan because that's where he flew into when he's going up to the ranch. Matthew saying hello. What hotels do you recommend in London? Matthew, could be any more general? I mean, what's your budget? How many days? What do you want to do there? Are you looking for a Motel 6 or are you looking for a night at the Connaught or the Connaught? Let me know. Jeff saying, how long and why have some airlines been charging for seat selection in business class? I've flown international business class for years and never paid extra for seat selection. I just found out that Finnair wants to charge you up to $184 for seat selection each leg of my flights from LA to Delhi on January 1. Booked the trip through Imagine Cruising, and they never advise me of Finnair's policy. Okay. You know what? The airlines will do anything to generate revenue these days. It's all about the upsell. Not only are they selling business class tickets for seats, individual seat selection, they're dealing with upgrades in a completely different way. And they're even selling, forget business class for a second, many airlines are even selling middle seat coach sections, right? Middle seat coach. Why? Because it's closer to first class, which means you get to smell the cookies, you still can't have one. Listen, I will never, I hate to use the N word, but you just heard it again. I will never pay for a middle seat, right? Here's what I do. Whenever I go online, I have what I call the middle seat Zen. I'm convinced I'm going to get the middle seat. And if I get it, I'm not disappointed. And if I don't, I'm pleasantly surprised. I live in a world of diminished expectations when it comes to seat selection, especially when the airlines either hold back seats they don't put on their grid, or they auction off the best seats to anybody on the plane, regardless of their status. It defeats the whole idea of loyalty. So I'm right there with you. It's not a good idea. And what did American Airlines just do? As of August 25th, that's this coming Tuesday, they changed the rules for their elite passengers, the people supposedly with status. So if I book a coach seat on American, and by the way, I have elite status. As you can imagine, I have elite status on every airline because I literally live on planes. But that's not the point. The point is the elite status is supposedly going to give you some perks, like a complimentary upgrade if there's space available. Well, the space is never available anymore for another reason. 24 hours before the flight, what is American doing? I'm talking about domestic flights where there's coach and first. What is American doing? They're auctioning off those first class seats to anybody on the plane for as little as $36. So what's the point of status if you don't have it, right? And what are they doing as of August 25th? They've been doing that already. But what are they doing as of August 25th? On their 3-class service, on their long-haul flights, like let's say JFK to LAX, their longest haul domestic flight, or JFK San Francisco. If you're in coach and you're elite, you get only bumped up to what? Premium economy. What's premium economy? It's what economy was 20 years ago. You can't jump up to first. Okay, what's the point? Repeat after me. What's the point? Okay, we'll keep going here. Gina's saying good morning from Tulsa. My sister and I think of going to Croatia in 2027 and in September. Any must-dos and sees? A lot of them. First of all, September is my magic month in Croatia, and I want you to enjoy it because hopefully it'll be less crowded. All the Game of Thrones fans are still there in Dubrovnik, but in September it gets a little bit better. But look at the map. You've got so many options beyond just Dubrovnik. And I would also look at a place that nobody ever goes. It's called Rab, R-A-B. Historically significant. Why? Because in World War II, the Italians ran a quote-unquote concentration camp for the Germans there. It was less of a concentration camp than just sort of a minimum security prison, but the Germans kept on saying to the Italians, put them on the train to Auschwitz. And the Italians just never got around to it. Let's hear it for the Italians. But there's a great story there about who survived and why they survived. Also, if you get to go to Zagreb, please do. The opera house there is amazing. Make sure you go there on the night they're performing. You will not be disappointed. And the Hotel Esplanade, fabulous, right? Check out the Croatian wines. They're beyond belief. All right. Melanie's saying hi from steamy Miami. have you flown Fiji Airways and what are your thoughts? I have flown Fiji Airways, and they used to be called Air Pacific. Fiji Airways has good planes. They got a good route network in the South Pacific, and check them out for another reason. I'm not saying it's happening now, but it does happen at certain parts of the year. They have what they call a Pacific Air Pass, which for one price allows you to island hop and go all the way to Australia, and sometimes even New Zealand. So check it out. But Fiji, I like the airline. Okay, Michelle's saying hello from Long Island, not far from where I am. I'm looking at Long Island right across the bay. Jeff saying hello from New Hampshire. When are you coming to the White Mountains? Later this year, we'll be broadcasting our radio show from one of the hotels there, and I'll let you know. All right. Mark saying, do I think the U.S. airlines latching on to big bucks travelers? We casual folks are not a priority to them anymore. Well, guess what? You've never been a priority to them anymore. You've only been incremental revenue to the airlines. Let me give you the math. If an airline can fill a business class section or a first class section, coach can be empty and the airline makes money. Conversely, if their coach seats are completely full with people sitting on the wing, but they haven't filled the first of the business class section, guess what? They break even. Why do you think Delta Airlines is currently reconfiguring their A350s to hold 44 first class seats? And the coach section on many airlines is shrinking. That's why. Okay. Colleen is saying friends have started to carry portable carbon monoxide sensors, detectors for use in hotel rooms. Do you carry one? I don't, and I should. They are portable, they're battery powered, and they work. Most hotels, depends on the fire codes in different cities, but most hotels don't have them in the rooms. They have smoke detectors, and thankfully now they're hardwired because they used to be battery powered. Guests would steal the batteries, so the smoke detectors were inoperable anyway. But they have smoke detectors and heat sensors in the rooms now. That's a fire code. And a new one that's being put in, which has nothing to do with safety codes, is an air quality sensor. You don't really notice it's in the room, but why is it there? So they can find people who smoke in the room. The problem is the sensors might detect you in the room having smoked when you didn't. It was the last guest. So you need to make sure that if you smell any smoke in the room or the presence of a large amount of disinfectant, that means they're trying to clean up the smoke smell from the last guest. Get another room. You don't want to get dinged for their stuff. Okay. Michelle says, would you fly Southwest out of LaGuardia in winter to Hobby for a cruise, or would you pick a different airline from JFK to Houston? No, why wouldn't I fly Southwest out of LaGuardia? You know what? JFK, listen, JFK, you fly to JFK if you're connecting on a domestic flight from an international flight. LaGuardia is convenient. My other choice, believe it or not far from where I am right now, MacArthur, Islip. Southwest also flies there. Okay. Jonathan is going to New Orleans soon. All right for you. Scott's saying hello from my home in Plainfield, Illinois. Lawrence is saying best barbecue is Smokin' Alice in Bayshore. Lawrence, I got to tell you, Smokin' Alice hasn't been in Bayshore for 15 years. I know this. He had a small tax problem, and he closed. He moved. I believe there's one in Massapequa, but Smokin' Alice, if you can tell me where it is in Bayshore, you win a prize because I don't think it's there anymore. Brenda's saying hi. Michael's saying hello from Lima, Ohio, but we are in Barcelona today at Sagrada Familia. How crowded is it? It's August. It's Barcelona. Tourism, over tourism. Go home. Let me know, Michael. Robin's saying aloha from Williamsburg. And happy statehood birthday to Hawaii. That's right. Jonathan's saying Lufthansa has separate stewards for pets aboard. Oh boy, I'll get to that one of these days. Paul is saying, seen some scary videos of charging animals on African safaris. How can I evaluate safety of specific operators? Well, it's not about the safety of the operator. It's about the nature of the animal. You keep your distance. And every operator that I know does that. You never want to get between an elephant and the baby or any other mother and the baby because they will charge. And other than that, it's about your responsibility as well. So many of us fellow travelers think the best picture has to be with us in the picture. Please don't try to do the selfie with the tiger or the cub. All right. Okay. Doris says, I'm still in Paris this week. It's now cooler. All right. Good for you, Doris. Mark's saying, greetings from the Bay Harbor Islands. Enjoyed a lunch at CJ's in Ocean Beach. Uh-oh. If you enjoyed many lunch at CJ's in Ocean Beach, that's down the road for me. Mark suddenly tells you had their rocket fuel. Come on, admit it. You did, didn't you? I bet you did. All right. Pat says, maybe pilots trying harder. My United pilot came out and talked to us about a reason for delay. Nice to see a face and hear a reason, even if there's delay. Couldn't agree with you more. We love communication. Randy's saying, hello from beautiful northern Michigan, the UP. Joy is saying, I've seen postings on Instagram from various people stating all-inclusive packages going to various places for 5 days and 4 nights, and some a little longer to Cancun, Jamaica, and other islands, including air from certain airports, for prices from $500 to $900 this fall. Does this sound legitimate? All right. I got to give you one big caveat. All right. It's 3 words. Timeshare presentation. Be careful. Anytime you do that, don't log on and hit the keystroke. Find a phone number and call them. Have a conversation. Talk about pilots communicating. Now you communicate and ask them those questions. Is this a timeshare presentation? Do I have a choice of rooms? Are there any flexibility in my flights? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And most importantly, you mentioned the words all-inclusive. You and I both know that's going to be followed with an asterisk. That's the travel industry's acknowledgement they're going to lie to you. So if that happens, you got to figure out what are the extras. Do it up front and then confirm it in writing. Katrina's saying hello from Alabama. Brenda's saying, Madison, go Badgers. Yeah, I know, but remember, we have a football team with a coach right now who thinks the goal in life is to just run every play up the middle. Don't think that's going to work in the Big Ten. It's too powerful a conference. All right. Pam is saying, Ocean Bay Park, Fire Island. My neighbor. Hello, Pam. Karen saying, hello from Oceanside. Are ticket fares to Europe, are they ever going to come down? And the answer is yes. Try September 30th. It always does. However, remember this caveat. Many airline CEOs this year have already said, we're going to cut capacity before we lower airfares, even if the oil prices come down. So be aware of that. All right. Someone's saying, have I had any experience with Talc Travel? We saw some trips in Canada that we saw interested in taking. I think Talc Travel does a great job. They're based in Connecticut. They're family run. I have never heard anything bad about Talc. I've been on 1 or 2 of their trips as well. But make sure you understand the brochure about what free time means versus explore on your own, right? Make sure you negotiate the language of every brochure when you're talking about an escorted tour. Sandy's saying greetings from Charlotte. Pam wants to know advice in travel insurance as I'm going on a cruise in January. All right, we can spend hours on this, Pam, but we'll start with this. You never buy travel insurance from the travel provider. You will see that if you're going on a cruise and you're going online. You can't complete the transaction unless you either opt in or opt out of the insurance. And you know what? The policy language on travel provider insurance is less beneficial to you. So opt out of it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't get it. Go to a travel agent, travel advisor, have them walk you through the various options and policies, not to mention the policy language itself, so you understand what you're getting. Because remember, there's trip interruption and cancellation insurance, and there's medical repatriation and evacuation insurance. I'm going to focus on that. If you're on a cruise and you have to go see the medical facility, you could get charged $200 for an aspirin. This is not like the Love Boat where Doc is your friend, right? It's a huge expense. So you make sure that you have the right insurance, otherwise known as medical evacuation or repatriation insurance, combined with health insurance that would cover you offshore on a cruise ship. Because if you have to be medically evacuated off a cruise ship, you're talking 6 figures by the time the bill comes in. All right. By the way, the companies that I like for that, I'll give you 3. MedJet Assist, Allianz, and Travel Guard. Oh, also Berkshire Hathaway. There are 4. But remember, having me say that doesn't mean anything unless you read the policy language to see what relates to you and what actually you're going to be covered for based on your individual condition. Okay? Okay. What are my thoughts? Oh, Jim and Harry want to know, what are my thoughts about Georgia, the country? We would like to travel there. I love it. You know what? Go. But remember, their winters are severe. You want to go in the summer months. It starts getting cold already in September. Sandy says, will international airfare drop for travel to Asia this spring? We don't know. Because remember, the Asian market in the winter is a hot market. Not necessarily in the summer, but it is in the winter. We'll monitor that for you. But right now, we're not seeing an excess in capacity. Remember, we're seeing mergers. We're seeing Korean Airlines taking over Asiana. We're seeing Alaska taking over Hawaiian and their Asia routes. So that doesn't mean that airfares are going to go down. We'll watch it for you. Okay. Lorena's saying, have to keep checking my upcoming Delta flights because they are changing them to the 350s and keep moving my selected seat. Why? Because they're adding more first-class seats. They're shrinking coach. All right. Galen's saying, hello from Minneapolis. Okay. Pam says, I fly to PBI, West Palm Beach Airport, otherwise known now as DJT. You know that, Donald J. Trump International. How many flying into Vero Beach? How's that airport rating? They don't have the frequency that PBI has. I'd stick with PBI. Okay, and Michael now has reported in. Very, very crowded at Sagrada, but beautiful. And our honeymoon. All right, congratulations. Well, if you have any time left in Barcelona, here's my suggestion. Go to Las Ramblas. Go to the Boqueria. That's the beautiful open-air market. Go in the back of the Boqueria. There's a little place in the back called Bar Central. It maybe has 9 stools, but it's some of the best seafood you're ever going to get if you're willing to wait to get your stool, right? It gets crowded, but it's worth it. Gary says, flying to and from Venice in November, buy the ticket now or wait a month or two. No, I'd buy the ticket now and then monitor the price. You can arbitrage that if it comes down. Joy says, can you rent a motorized scooter for seniors on Martha's Vineyard? It's called liability. Some rental places will do that, but they do have a cap on age. It's no different than renting a car. In many cases, you can't rent a car if you're under 18, and you can't rent a car if you're over 75. The same thing may apply to scooters. So senior is one thing. Senior over 75 is another. Paula says, great to see Captain Sullenberger get enshrined in the National Aviation Hall of Fame. I concur with that a lot, Paula. As you know, I covered that story for NBC when it happened that day in January of 2009. We then brought Sully over to CBS, where I did many, many stories with him. He's also been many times on our radio show. He's an outspoken advocate for common sense and safety. We were very saddened to learn of his recent medical condition and his disclosure of such, and we wish him and his family well as he struggles through this. But man, what a cool guy and what a hero. And he should have been enshrined, and I'm glad he was. Joy says, is there anything airfare sales starting next Monday? Remember, we're talking about pop-up sales, so I don't know. My guess is towards the end of next week, you're going to see those pop-up sales because it's coming into Labor Day weekend, and that's where the fourth quarter usually drops off. So look at that, okay? All right. Lorena says, Kenya is still trying to implement mandatory travel insurance before arrival, and of course, they want you to buy it from Kenya. Will it hurt their tourism? Of course it will. Look, it's like the electronic visas everybody wants to do, but they're not very clear on what you need to know. They're going to figure it out. And by the way, I don't blame them for trying to implement mandatory insurance. They don't want you to become a ward of their country, right? You should be doing that responsibly anyway. All right. Dan saying aloha from Oahu. Right back to you, Dan. Sue saying, have you flown on Starlux? I have not. And one of the reasons why I haven't is they don't have the frequency that I need to be able to do it. But that doesn't mean I won't. I just haven't yet. All right. Juan is saying hello from Raleigh. Sandy's saying, Sue's saying that Starlux is an excellent airline. There you go. Sandy's giving you some advice there. Gary's saying my November cruise is going to Egypt, but too close to the war zone, or should I trust the cruise line to divert? It is not too close to the war zone. Do you remember I did Global Travel Update a couple of weeks ago, transiting the Suez Canal? I'm going back there again next month. And my last name is Greenberg. No, it's about being situationally aware, doing your homework. I would have no qualms whatsoever at this point going to Egypt. All right? Okay. There you go. Now, before we forget, let's go to the photo of the week. We love this one. Anybody tell me where that is? You don't? Okay. It's Florence. That's right. You see the bridge. And I love it. So congratulations to John Fedinich. He writes, every day for 3 months, I walk past this view in Florence, and it always amazed me. Yep, I love it. You know, the only problem about crossing that bridge is you end up buying a lot of gloves and leather goods you don't need. But that's another story. But congratulations to John. If you think you've got a photo that qualifies as the photo of the week, you know what to do. Photo contest at petergreenberg.com next to John's. Little housekeeping note, tomorrow we'll be broadcasting from the ocean, right, from the Mediterranean on board the inaugural cruise of the Explorer 3, the brand new luxury cruise ship from MSC. So tune in 10 o'clock in the morning to 1 p.m. in the afternoon, about 10:05 to be exact. And if you can't find a market in your area, you can still listen to it live streaming. Just go to our website, petergreenberg.com, hit the radio icon, and you're up and running. I want to thank Anthony Protas for doing the boards in California for this today. I want to thank you for watching. And by the way, get ready. September 15th, we are launching our brand new newsletter. We'll have more details on that in the next 2 weeks. So stick around for that because it's going to be bigger than ever and more information and stuff you need to know. I'll clue you in on that next week. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. I'll see you on the radio and be safe.
Peter Greenberg's Global Travel Update is presented by New Mexico True.